Okay, record on. Yay. Um, yeah, grateful to be here, George, today with you and learn more about each other today. Yeah. So why don't you start, George, since you have the purple shirt?
Re-
Since
Really,
you have the
really,
purple.
really
Yeah.
appreciate your time and your audience. Means the world to me. Parkinson's disease unfortunately affected me because I lost my mother in 1/1/2020 due to the disease. Before becoming an advocate for Parkinson's awareness and hope for a cure, I myself grew up in New York. I studied criminal justice and law. Always wanted to
Mm,
help victims of crime. Became a lawyer, then police officer, and did my PhD in criminal justice. And was able to work with African American mothers who lost their loved ones due to crime,
wow.
specifically murder in South Florida. So I kind of given my life to help others. And then my mother had Parkinson's for 15 years, but I didn't really even know what it was till the last four when she had an emergency and it called for me to really take over her whole life. So
Wow.
changed my life forever.
Yeah.
And it's a sad story because I lost her, but I've met so many incredible people
Mhm.
like yourself today that inspire me to keep pushing. And a lot of people, when they have a loss, as you know, kind of move on if they can. They'll never forget that they go back to life. Well, I just feel
Yeah.
that Parkinson took her 15 years alive and maybe 15 after life. And I don't want other people to ever have to go through this. So
Mhm.
I won't rest till there's a cure, but I've had some incredible opportunities, like we mentioned earlier, that I've actually reached out to Parkinson's Hawaii Society Association, and this affects everyone throughout
Yeah.
the world. So it's
Mhm.
just shocking that there's about 1 million people in the U.S., but 10 million around the world affected by
Mhm.
Parkinson's. And then if you add, as you'll get to later about community, if you
Yeah.
add the community, that's another million, a million. So this is not a little disease. It's one of the fastest growing neurological in the world. So that really is what brings me here today to kind of just, if we reach one person out there, whether Hawaii or the US, I know that we're both out there fighting for a cure, then we might have changed the world for the better. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, George, for your contributions. Yeah, in terms of just your own personal journey through getting to where you are today. I sense this as a soul purpose. Yeah, in terms of what you're living today because of mom, and from that blessing to be able to bless so many of others out there and be able to collaborate on connections like these to get the word out there. I am just curious to see, because the passion shines through so much, yeah, in how you speak and what you talk about. Maybe talk a little bit about, uh, maybe for the Hawaiian community, for the overall community across the United States, um, why, you know, this is such an important topic in terms of for caregivers and also obviously for the families and communities to be able to build support around.
Yeah, Parkinson's doesn't just affect the person who's diagnosed, it also affects the families. But then now, because it's the fastest growing neurodegenerative disease, it's actually affecting neighbors, cousins,
Yeah.
sisters, aunts, uncles, and friends. So if we don't start gaining more awareness and finding a cure, it's just going to spread. It's again the fastest growing neurological disorder. It's also one that can really cripple, unfortunately, a person. So we have something sadly who the president, Glenn Higa of the Parkinson's and Hawaii Association, he actually is younger. So some individuals now are getting it around the
Mhm.
world at a younger age, so their 30s. Mr. Michael J.
Wow.
Fox, the famous
Yep.
Canadian actor, has it, and he's been struggling even to this day.
Yeah.
But the thing I admire about all these individuals, they fight back, they advocate, and they want, alongside with me and you, to make sure that people out there know that they're never alone. So I do this all
Hmm.
like you, voluntary. I don't accept anything. We don't accept, if you send me a penny, I'll send it back. 'Cause that's not why I do it. I did publish a book just actually a few weeks ago, and it talks about the journey of my mother and me, and hers through Parkinson's, and then mine
Hmm.
as caregiver and today advocate. But that was more again for informational purpose. And I was shocked to find that there's no other son that I'm aware of, and I did a lot of research that
Mm,
lost their mother to Parkinson's and published a book. So it's
mm,
been out there some time. Michael J. Fox Foundation put on their website, which has been amazing. But
Yeah.
there's so many people out there that we have to reach.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of time people don't really think about things unless it affects them or their
Yeah.
family. But this is one that we really need people to think about before it's too late or
Mhm.
until they're affected. But you, I know, can touch on too how there are things out there to help individuals in the community also to fight not just this disease, but really all disease. I would love to see the end of dementia,
Yeah.
Alzheimer's too,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Parkinson's specifically affected our family.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, if you and I can wave a magic wand together right now, yeah, it's really to raise awareness so that people can know there are tools out there and there are, there is support out there. And yeah, we need to build community together to basically support each other through these crisis moments, right? In terms of just being there and also having the resources to do so. Yeah.
And that's a nice
Yeah.
thing with social media. There's some dark
Yeah.
sides, unfortunately, but the 99% positive
Hmm.
brings people like you and I together where we might not have ever been able to meet
That's true.
and to something positive and great. This again is not really about just a conversation, something that needs to continue till there's a cure, but reaching the world is so critical. People now are kind of learning about it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of celebrities now with Parkinson's. Ozzy Osbourne, you have
Mm,
Michael J. Fox, Janet Reno had it,
mm,
a lot of famous comedians. But the problem is more and more people getting it, and I don't like to hear that. I don't
hmm.
want people to keep getting it. We've been lucky enough to reach some of the celebrities, and I don't know if you know Kenny G, the famous saxophone
Hmm.
player. He doesn't have Parkinson, but my mother really loved him when she was alive with us. She would have loved to have seen it, but he wrote a message and played a song in her memory, and we have it all
Wow.
together for Sharon.com, which we started in 4 years ago when
Hmm.
my mother passed 1/1/2020. I thought maybe a few people would see it, they'd remember my mother, and that'll be it. But
Mm,
since looking a few weeks ago, we've had over 37,000 people visit the site, and
wow.
it's I don't know if it's because of my work or because the disease is progressing so quickly, which is kind of saddening. So, again, I feel that we can come closer to a cure if everybody was on board. So we need to
Yeah.
keep up the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely very grateful for, just even one additional voice, right? Adding mine to yours and elevating that awareness. Yeah. I was thinking about George, what is one thing, yeah, earlier in terms of what is one thing that you would like uh the young people out there to know and begin to tap into because it is impacting younger and younger folks. Perhaps, in our humanity is kind of like, oh, it's not touching me right now, so I don't have to care about this. But what is one thing that perhaps maybe you can just shine some light on for us?
And my main message is really that you're not alone. So if someone is out there and younger and gets Parkinson's or
Yeah.
just curious about it or has a loved one, they should
Hmm.
go to www.togetherforsharon.com. It'll
Hmm.
link to many other sources. Again, everything's completely free. There's no catch. It's sad in 2024 you have to keep saying that, but I don't accept money. I don't want anything but a cure. If you go to the site, there is a section for donation. And the beautiful thing is some organizations like Michael J. Fox Foundation created a link in memory of my mother. So if you do donate 50 cents, it'll be in my mother's memory, but it goes to their amazing
Hmm.
organization. They just recently passed a few weeks ago. It hasn't been signed into law yet. We're waiting for the president, but the
Okay.
National Plan to End Parkinson's Disease, I think when we met, it had passed in December of the House, but didn't pass the Senate yet. Well, I'm
Mm.
happy to say 3 weeks ago, it passed the U.S. Senate
Yay.
unanimously. And that's the
Hmm.
first bill in U.S. history called the National Plan to End Parkinson's that will actually bring federal funding by the U.S. government to help those who are diagnosed. It'll help researchers find a cure, and it helps with awareness. But again, it still
Mm.
needs to be signed into law. My
Hmm.
dream is that every country, Hawaii, others can take this law and mirror it in their country and pass it there too. It's kind of similar to the Alzheimer's bill that was passed many decades ago, but again, Alzheimer's has a little more attention
Sure.
because there's many more people with it. But
Sure.
to me, it affects you. It doesn't matter how many people
Mm.
have it, it's still, life breaking,
Yeah.
changing. And
Yeah.
I wish there's days that I actually don't want to do this anymore because I have my own, I've had a few surgeries in my back and other things, but what
Mm.
pushes me to never give up is to see so many others still fighting and battling. Just today, I spoke with amazing woman who is only in her 40s,
Yeah.
early 40s. She just had a baby and she has Parkinson's. So
Oh.
she talked about women and Parkinson's, which is something I don't really know much about. And it was just
Yeah.
fascinating, whether you're pregnant with a baby, Parkinson's because of the medicines. It's just the
Mm.
whole world. We have to get rid of the stigma that used to be that Parkinson's is the elderly man's disease, which is false. There's many people, young people now, young onset. So many women have
Mhm.
it, and there's just not enough answers. And if there are answers and people out there, people are just not aware of them. And that's what
Mhm.
togetherforsharon.com is. The
Mm.
website where you'll see interviews. I've done 700 around the world. There's
Mm.
also our show will be there, our podcast. It also has resources. So for
Mhm.
Parkinson's in Hawaii or Canada
Yes.
or UK, I've been lucky enough to interview a nurse the other week from the UK who specifically deals with Parkinson's. Just
Mhm.
amazing stories out there. And I
Yeah.
think by you having me on today and us sharing this, it just brings out so much more awareness that it's really needed. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking this time, yeah, knowing what you're going through right now physically with that back surgery and then an impending surgery on your knee to take time to connect today.
I don't
Uh,
know.
yeah.
Woke up one day, don't turn 42 because when I woke up at 42 and everything went down. Hopefully I'll be back up, but like
Hmm.
no matter what, I'll never stop fighting. I mean, I think I was in the hospital bed, just came out of surgery, and all I could think
Wow.
about is posting for Parkinson's cure because whether or not I have pain, individuals fighting the disease or battling this also every day. Mine, I hope will heal, but you can't. As of today, there's no cure. We can slow the progression under medical science. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I
Hmm.
don't have
Hmm.
any, you have to see your own medical movement specialist,
Yeah.
movement disorder. But they do believe that diet and exercise, at least 40 minutes a day, and things, other areas like environment can cause Parkinson's, but also slow the progression. One major thing I was shocked at is I think my mother did get it due to environment. She
Mm.
lived in a nice home for 20 years, but she had mold. They had
Hmm.
types of termites. So all that stuff might be kind of normal. But back then, who knows what they used to spray?
I.
In China, there's something called paraquat, which is banned in China, but not banned in the U.S., which makes no sense. And it's actually
Mm.
like the poison that's used in our pesticides. So there's a lot of things out there from the pesticides they use in our vegetables and fruits in the grocery store. And also, I was shocked to find out too that dry cleaning. I'm even wearing sure now they think that they might use chemicals that can cause Parkinson's. So one tip, if
Mm.
anyone's listening, is when you get your dry cleaning, throw out the plastic and leave it outside for 10 minutes, let it air out, and then
Mm.
hang it up. But it's just amazing how many, we have something in the US called the FDA and all these kind of
Hmm.
legal agencies, but they're not really, I don't trust a lot of them. And I'm not a conspiracy person. I just think that we have a lot of poison things and out there, and our whole faith is in our government to make
Mm.
sure,
Hmm.
at least in food in our home, but there's no way to really regulate everything.
Yeah, that's hard. Plus, with America being capitalistic, profit driven, uh, the favor is towards corporations, so the environment is kind of tossed to the side a lot of the times. Yeah. Just a disposable society because what are we generating? Markets, what are we generating? Profits. A lot of the times using people for that to do it, not only for the labor side, but for the consumer side as well. So I think, George, for me is really how do we elevate that consciousness level so that we can hold a very different space, as we continue to shift conversations, shift mindsets, shift the way that people think and believe. As a nurse for almost 40 years, I completely resonate with what you're talking about. Yeah. And today I basically get to educate people on resources in terms of on the financial end of how to set up these financial safety nets as an income replacement strategy inside of living benefits as a general terminology within financial services to be that income safety net, for things like Parkinson, for things like MS, for things like cancer, heart attack, and strokes, the biggest killers today, and kidney disease being one of the also very fast growing diseases besides the neurodegenerative kinds of things that you and I have been talking about. Um, so, for me, it's really okay, let's get together, have a conversation. Let's talk about these solutions that are on the back end that we can leverage today so that we don't have to put up a medical GoFundMe, right? My goal and passion is to let's get rid of these medical GoFundMes because there are progressive companies out there today doing things that are shifting industries, changing lives every single day that I didn't even know about 4.5 years ago. Yeah, because I was not educated financially. Very few nurses are, and so today's really helping people connect the dots and bringing these solutions to them so that they can now be in the know because that empowers them to make a very different choice for themselves and obviously for their families as well. And that's what we're talking about here.
I want to thank you
Uh,
first for your
yeah,
service as a nurse. We love our
thank you.
nurses. And also, I think what your topic is and you're mentioning is very important. There's a lot of areas that individuals, again, some of them don't even want me to bring up, but you have to
Yeah.
talk, we have a middle or we have a beginning, middle, and an end of life. And a lot of people don't want to mention the end of life, but I do because there's so many areas from, like you just said, financially, insurance, medical. My mother and our family were hit hard because we didn't have long-term disability because
Hmm.
Parkinson's was not considered a end of life disease, which obviously in my mother's case it was. Florida
Yeah.
also doesn't
Hmm.
recognize death with dignity. So here in Florida, we treat our animals better than our human being loved ones. So
Mm.
there's a lot of talk about finances that need to be discussed, like what you're doing. So I
Yeah.
commend that. So I
Thank
was a
you.
little lucky. Obviously, I lost my mother, which wasn't luck, but in a way, my mother was very planning minded, so she
Yeah.
let me be her power of attorney. But before she got too ill, you need to plan for these things
Yes.
because your mental capacity, she had late onset dementia, which brought hallucinations and delusions. And then
Mm.
if you're not prepared, like with the areas you're talking about, or,
Mhm.
the banking and all this, I mean, she
Exactly.
couldn't. But, so I was in a little bit, in a way, I don't want to say luck, but that she worked with me. We had it all ready. She even
Mhm.
planned our funeral before she passed, and we didn't plan it because of Parkinson's. Unfortunately, doctors in the medical field tell you that you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. But my
Yes.
mother had no other medical issues, so I don't know what happened or
Mm.
why. But she
Hmm.
was a young 69 at the time. So
Wow. Wow.
and today, I kind of don't understand why it progressed so quickly. There are
Hmm.
people I know at 85 and living with
Yep.
Parkinson's and they're struggling, but they are with their loved ones. So
Hmm.
everyone's so different. That's why there's no cure because everybody, some people might have external tremors like Michael J. Fox.
Hmm.
My mother had more internal, but
Hmm.
also just to mention, if anyone isn't aware, Parkinson's, like we said, is a neurodegenerative disease. That's a body a movement disorder.
Yes.
Things like triggers, people have trouble using handwriting, shuffling their steps, so their
Yeah.
gait, the walk, and then also things like managing medications important, making your home environment important,
Hmm.
and avoid falls, exercise, and some individuals also have the freezing gait. So it's
Yeah.
very tough. I do a lot of things virtual, but I do get once a year. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. I get to go
Uh-huh.
live, do a lot of walks and charity events. And when you're there, like live with people with Parkinson's, it's just a different experience because they
Sure.
come up, we cry together, we laugh, and we hug,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they just they're in heaven when they realize they're not alone. Because a lot of time, like my mother and me, we thought we were alone and felt
Hmm.
like it because you're in your house,
Yep.
maybe you don't have internet or a lot of the avenues
Hmm.
or even be able to aware about the amazing things you're doing. And you just like, you don't know, you kind of drop your books and your pen and
Yeah.
say, I don't know what to do. And every time we tried something new, it felt like we failed. And even today, I don't regret anything because I don't think we could have changed it. But, we just had to keep fighting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for all those pieces there, George. How about we wrap this up and talk about something fun, shall we?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I do have
Yeah.
one little message before we get to the fun part. This is for you, your audience. I always say this towards the end, but
Yeah.
we love you, we support you, we care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along, of course, with the amazing guest host here, will advocate for you, and together our voices are so much stronger. And I always
Yeah,
say I'm just getting started because, like I
me
said, I
too.
haven't. We just been doing it for a while. You've been a nurse for a long time, but every time you see a new person
Yeah,
diagnosed or battling it, kind of re energizes me to want
yes,
to keep fighting. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to the fun part, but I'm so grateful for your friendship and your time. And again, my goal is that I can help you too in any way because we're a team and a
yeah,
family in this.
absolutely. Thank you, George. Thank you for that. And I reflect that back to you in a sense that it's mutual. Yeah, it's mutual. So for the fun part, name one fun fact about you that most people don't know about that we can
That's a
share.
tough
That's a tough
one.
one.
Yeah, I've been playing guitar for 20 years. It's more for fun, but with my
Yeah,
back, it's tough. But I like guitar because any music, I'm sure. If I don't know, do you play any music?
I
I
used
don't
to
know.
play piano, so we do have that
Yeah.
musical thing going
When you
here.
when you play piano or I play guitar, not only does it actually help in music therapy,
Yeah,
but you kind of forget your life in the world for a few
yeah,
minutes and
yeah, yeah.
takes you out into the place. I pretend I'm in Honolulu and I just forget everything. But there's
Yeah.
been tough times in my life, unfortunately, and it's not over. So, I'm sure there might be more, but the
Hmm.
music helps me. But people, again, like you and those out
Yeah.
there, there's 99.9% incredible people. There's 1% wacky on the internet, as you probably know, or that you have to deal with
Yeah, yeah,
online with.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what keeps me going. So that would be the fun fact that I don't know if
I
a lot of
love it.
people know. I play
Yeah.
guitar.
Wow, I love that. What kind of music? What's your favorite music, George?
I was brought up to everything. So the
Yeah.
nice thing is from whether it's rap to,
Mm.
classical to everything, I just Mozart to this, to Sinatra's. I think I was born in the
Yeah.
wrong era. So I could have been born. It would have been like when Tony Bennett and
Mm,
Miles Davis and I mean, I love Michael Jackson. I love everything. So it's hard.
mm,
And the nice thing is with guitar, you can
yeah,
try and play it all. But I mean,
yeah.
and I also love the Hawaiian culture. We have a tiki thing here, like it's a
The
restaurant.
tiki thing.
The best example, but they come on stage, they do the dancing, the fire, and
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
the
the
whole
fire stuff.
experience. As a child, I used to love that, and I took my family, my mother loved it. But I love experiencing cultures and different
Mhm.
things too. But again, the guitar is just a nice safe haven,
Mm.
unless you have powerful back pain, and that's another story.
Yeah, that's
But
another story, right? Then you
what
can
about
listen.
you?
Then you can listen
Yeah.
and still enjoy the type of music that you love, It sounds like you just love music in general.
What about you?
Yeah, that's a fun fact for sure.
How
Yeah,
about you?
love
What's your one?
Yeah, I was just thinking while you were sharing, right? What's the one fun fact about me? In terms of people getting to know me. I was on a call with Idong earlier, and she's from Nigeria. And she helps people in STEM and science fields, startups basically get position for federal funding. Yeah, because it can be very, very competitive, George, as you know, fundraising and all that good stuff for even Parkinson's, right? Um, and so one of the things I shared with her is I spend 98% of my time outdoors. So you may
Oh,
see me whacking with mosquitoes
I
or
know.
whatnot. Yeah. Skeeters out here. I just love being outside, being able to see the trees, the plants, and hear the birds right now singing. I don't know if you can hear that
Mhm,
on my background.
mhm.
And so that's one of the fun facts about me. And another one that I'll throw in there that's related to nature is really climbing. Climbing trees is like such a beautiful thing just to be so close, with another plant species or whatnot. Yeah, that's my haven. That's my
I don't
haven.
want to take up too much of your time, but now you just got me. My other fun fact, one
Yeah,
last
I
one.
want to hear. I want to hear your other fun fact.
Unfortunately, I've had three major back surgeries, and we
Yeah,
don't know if it'll work. But when you're laying there, you can't do much. So
yeah.
I was just turning the channel, and I fell in love and got addicted to Survivor and Amazing Race. I don't know why. So
Oh,
my whole
really?
family every night at like 9 o'clock when we're done, we work a lot,
Oh,
but we all gather together, my daughter, me, and my wife, and we watch. And while you were saying that, I'm like, I think I'm going to see you on Survivor someday.
yeah. Survivor. I don't
I
know. I
wouldn't,
don't know. I'm that tough.
I
Uh,
wouldn't last a minute, but it's
yeah,
just
I wouldn't last a
amazing
minute
show.
either.
And Amazing Race, it's just interesting. I don't like traveling, but it's cool to say someday. I hope that's why I'm young and I want to heal. because I want to be able to do those things like
Yeah.
travel someday. I'd love to go to Hawaii, and we're in Florida. It's not exactly, it's maybe similar
It's
weather,
a
but not the
Yeah, not quite the same. The sun's not quite I was in Orlando just
uh,
last month. Yeah, just last month.
uh,
And so it's not quite the same, yeah. You
uh,
have to come. When you come to Hawaii, I would love to host you,
uh,
George,
that was
and your
beautiful.
family as well.
Well,
And
let's hope we find a cure for Parkinson's and we can go on to a new show together, and that's not
yeah,
about.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. I would love that. Yeah, thank you for your time today, and thank you for taking time, while you're still recovering from back surgery to do this with me.
I really appreciate your time again,
Appreciate you
friendship,
as
and
well.
all your all viewers. So thank you all. And remember, you're never alone. We're always out there fighting until we find a
Amen.
cure and end this disease forever.
Amen.